297. Which of the following molecules and ions contain polar bonds, and which of these molecules and ions have dipole moments? Okay, so we have PCl3. We need to find if this one has polar bonds and if it has a dipole moment. Now, in order to determine polarity, especially polar or nonpolar bonds and dipole moments, my suggestion to you is to take a second and draw out the Lewis structure. It is one extra step, but I promise you, by visualizing what is actually going on, will give you an easier time to figuring out these types of questions. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, there's tons of videos on this channel just designated to drawing the Lewis structure, so you could pause the video and see if your answer matches mine. But if you do need more guidance, we have tons of videos just taking it step by step to kind of get you familiar with Lewis structures. But here we go. We have phosphorus in the middle, surrounded by the 3 chlorines. It does not matter where you put the chlorines, just as long as they're around the phosphorus. And for each chlorine to phosphorus, we have a single bond. To get the octet for the chlorines, I need 6 electrons around each one. And then for the phosphorus, I do need 1 lone pair to get that octet as well. And there you go. Now, in order to find out polar or nonpolar bonds, we're looking specifically at the 2 elements, so X and Y in this case, and their bond between them. Now, there's 3 different bonds that I see here, right? But they're actually all the same. It's a chlorine to phosphorus bond, it's a chlorine to phosphorus bond, chlorine to phosphorus. So there's only one specific bond here. And I guess I'll just draw it on this side. So when you're looking for the bonds, just only draw one of them out. So let's just say, okay, it's the chlorine to the phosphorus. Now, if you want to find out if something has a polar bond, the electronegativity difference between the 2 atoms have to be in between 0.4 and 1.8. And remember, electronegativity difference just means subtraction. So let's just go find those electronegativities on a chart. And let's see here. Chlorine, I have it right here. Chlorine is a 3.0 as far as electronegativity, and phosphorus is a 2.1. Now, when you're taking your electronegativity difference, make sure that it's always the positive answer. So if you do subtract and you get a negative, the electronegativity difference is always going to be the absolute value. So when these 2 come together and they get subtracted, this looks like it's going to be 0.9. So if I look on the range of things, 0.9 is in between 0.4 and 1.8. So we answered the first question. These definitely have polar bonds. A Cl to phosphorus bond is a polar bond. Okay, now as I'm coloring, let's talk about the dipole moment. Now, if this molecule has a dipole moment, that just means that there's an unequal sharing of electrons in the bond throughout the whole entire molecule. So if you have a dipole moment, that secretly means that your whole molecule is polar. So now when we're trying to figure out if the whole molecule is polar and not the actual specific bond, this is where the acronym SNAP comes into play. SNAP. Now keep in mind that dipole moments are for polar molecules, so I'm just keying in on the polar side. If a molecule is polar, it is asymmetrical. It's not the same on all the sides. But some of you might say, well, it looks the same, right? All the bonds are to chlorine. But there's one side that is not the same, and there's a trick here to always know when you got a polar molecule, because if your central atom, whoever that is, in this case it's phosphorus, if your central atom has dots, it is automatically polar, no exception. So right from the gate, I see that phosphorus has the 2 dots. And I don't need to look any further. I know that this is a polar molecule. And if it's a polar molecule, it's got to have a dipole moment. And that is the final answer. And there's your 2 answers. So it's got polar bonds and it's a polar molecule, so it's got a dipole moment. And that's the end. What'd you think? I hope this helped. Thank you for tuning in. Click the subscribe button if you want to help us out. Tell your friends, tell your classmates. Love to help you guys out. Yeah, check the channel out. We really want to help you guys succeed. So we got almost 5,000 videos at the moment for you guys for physics, math, and chem, with more subjects coming your way. So check back on the channel. I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye-bye.